Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione Round 7 of the Taco Tuesday series of Season 13. Apologies for that. So we are at Donington Park for its latest round of the championship, and we hope to see more wheel-to-wheel battles like what we saw at Suzuka and at the round before at Paul Ricard. Alberto Aragonés coming out on top yet again in the pro category. He now has a 10-point lead over Carl Sween, who ended up in 4th place and losing ground in the title battle. All of that can change though here at Donington. It'll be an 80-minute race. It's an open free strategy for the drivers, and they will have the choice whether to make a pit stop or not, hence why it's called an open free strategy. In relation to the silver category, Daniel Aus came out on top, ahead of Gordon Brown and Ryan George, and as a consequence, Daniel Aus goes into the lead of the silver category, ahead of Gordon Brown, who's now 5 points behind. Kyle Revel in 3rd place after he missed last week. After Donington, the last 2 rounds will be 60-minute races. Go to the Nürburgring in a week's time, and it's Watkins Glen for the finale on June the 4th. If you have joined us, we do welcome you. Feel free to get involved in the live chat if you ever so wish to do. A lot of racing to come up this week. There is the Monaco Grand Prix along with F2 and F3, they'll be racing there. We've also got the famous Indy 500 race that is shaking up to be one not to miss for those who are loving their single-seaters. And there's also Formula E racing in Shanghai for its latest rounds. I think it's a double-header over in Shanghai for the Formula E grid. So it is a double-header. They've done 10 races so far in Formula E, the latest being in Berlin. Got China to go to in Shanghai this weekend. And about 5 weeks after that, they go to the US at Portland International Raceway at the end of June, and then 3 weeks after that will be the season finale at the London Excel on the 20th and 21st of July. Which is expected to decide the championship with the way things are going, involving the likes of Nick Cassidy, Pascal Wehrlein, Oliver Earl and Jake Dennis and Mitch Evans. The true fact is that only one of them has won the Formula E championship. So could we see yet another Formula E champion in a few weeks, or a few months from now, or a couple of months from now? So far in this practice session then, in Taco Tuesday, in both Pro and Silver, Jared Vermeulen, who we haven't seen yet this season, the South African who won a few races last season, on his way to runner-up. He's 1.2 seconds clear over Jeffrey Godefroy, and it's Jay Wazzer who's in 3rd. The fastest out of all those in Silver is Daniel Aus. And behind him, we've got Wojtek Butcher in the 254 Ferrari 296 GT3 in 2nd place, the times as they are. got another driver in there as well by the name of Lewin in the 97 McLaren. Exactly what his first name is, so I'll just hope to dig in on that whilst we speak. I wonder if he maybe previously was in the Pro-Am sort of category. We'll have to have a look into that. It's probably not. It is a new name for me, particularly. Well, he's not in the silver category, I just noticed he's actually in the pro. So I'll have a look to see where he is on there. If I can find. So it's Lionel Lewin in the 97 McLaren, who hasn't raced yet this season. He is doing so tonight. Got 33 drivers in the service so far. We're expecting 36. 19 from Pro, 17 from Silver. All of which looking to add to their points tallies. All of them will have a drop score at the end of the season, unless they've missed a race, of course. If they've missed a race, then they don't need to drop a score. Or if they failed to finish a race, then they won't need to drop a score. But those that have finished consistently, the worst score will no longer apply for the championship. But for Mullen, on circuit, doing a fine job so far. We're 25.7 around this Donington Park circuit. It was opened in the 1930s before it was shut during the war. I don't think it was until like the 1970s when someone by the name of Tom Wheatcroft reopened it, and it's been opened ever since. British touring cars, notable for racing their World Superbikes, who've been racing at Donington the weekend that's just gone by. If you did go to that, do let us know how was it, or how it was. If you are a bike fan, then World Superbikes is probably for you. I was over at Donington for the British touring car season opener. It's a good experience, actually. My first time in Donington, thinking of it. Now, we want to go for a lap on this circuit around Donington. If we can pick up on a particular driver, well, I'm not going to go with Daniel Haas because he starts out the circuit. We'll go on board with Alberto Aragonés because he's just taken us on a lap here now. So, down towards Redgate Corner in 5th gear, or brake it up to 5th gear before braking, down to 2nd, 105 kilometers an hour at the apex before you apply the throttle again. Then it's down towards the Craner curves, flat out, keeping it foot to the floor, applying the curves on the inside. Then it's down to the old hairpin, 3rd gear, 150 kilometers an hour, running wide on the exit. That's what you want to avoid doing. Underneath the bridge as you go towards McLean's, and you position the car and you brake after that that board there. It was just on the left hand side. 2nd gear, using all the curb again on the outside before you approach the run up towards Coppice. It's on the inside again, applying too much curve there, so you want to time your turning in point to perfection. Then it's down the Starkeys straight all the way up to 5th gear before you go towards the S's. This is the full layout that we are using instead of the national layout, which British Touring Car were using a few weeks back. Running wide yet again, he's pushing as hard as he can here, Alberto Aragonés. He's exceeded track limits, but we'll stay with him anyway. Down to the Melbourne hairpin, 1st gear, 55 kilometers an hour at the apex before you go back on the throttle again, carried a bit too much speed or applying too much throttle on the exit. Down towards the final corner, the hairpin of Goddard's, 2nd gear it is, wait for it, and you apply the throttle over the curbs and you sprint to the line, and that is a lap of Donington Park. What a brilliant circuit it is as well. It's a brilliant day out for the family if you ever decide to go. Aragonesa is just getting his laps in. Oh, we've seen all 36 drivers in the server at the moment. We've got 35, so we're just waiting on one more, who is likely to join during qualifying. In terms of how qualifying will work, well, we've had 13 minutes for each group, which means it's like a 26-minute session. So the silver drivers will go out first for the first half of the session. Once the first half of the session concludes, the checker flag will wave for them, metaphorically, and the pro drivers can start heading out of the pits, whilst those in silver can make their own way back into the pit lane. I don't know for certain how much time we're going to have. I think, because of how long the circuit is, it may be 10 minutes for each car. Not 10 minutes for each car, 10 minutes for each class. So the silver category drivers will get 10 minutes first, and then once the 10 minutes are up for them, heading into the final 10 minutes, the pro drivers can start making their way out of the pits. And they should have enough laps to get the best time possible for a place on the grid. The grid will combine both of all of the times, so wherever they end up on the grid in terms of position, that's where they will start. They won't start in their own groups, if that makes sense. So the pro drivers at the front of the queue and the silver drivers at the back. It's not exactly like radicals or anything like that. They'll all be in one big group together, which I suppose is how it is in the World Endurance Championship, unless I'm mistaken. 2.5 minutes remaining then in this practice session. Jared Vermeulen is fastest by 1.2 seconds over Jeffrey Godefroy. It's Adam Sharp in third place, ahead of Carl Sween and Alberto Aragonesa. Jay Wazza in sixth in the 32 Bentley, and it's Simon Straczynski in the 999 BMW, aiming for a better result than what he had at Suzuka. Daniel Iles is fastest out of all those in the silver class, with Butcher in second, and it's Martin Krevek and Gordon Brown. Andrew Tullock, who missed last week, is fifth in class, ahead of Keith Massar. Aragonesa is coming through now. He'll get a couple more goes at it. He's got enough time to get a couple more laps in. It wasn't an improvement on his previous best there for Aragonesa. There is Daniel Aus right behind him. 2 wins now it is for him this season in silver. He won at the third race of the season at Brands Hatch. I think it's Brands Hatch, or it might have been Solder actually, my apologies for that. It was Solder in round 3, he got a race win there. It's great to see that both Pro and Silver are involved in this. That way it keeps us up to date with all the action that's going on in 2 classes as opposed to 1. So we're into the last minute then, and we're still waiting on one more driver. I don't know who that is, but we'll carry on as we are nevertheless. I wonder if is Chris Gedman in? It might be him that's not in yet. But we'll wait and see on that. He is expected to join us, Chris. So we are coming towards the end of the latest laps here. We're looking at Daniel Aus. Does he improve on his time from before? The answer is no. Got Gordon Brown coming through in the 134 Bentley. The checker flag is out to signal the end of practice. Brown just wants to get over the line here and see if he can move up the order. Does he go in front of Krevek with the latest lap that he does? He doesn't. He raced behind him by only a couple of thousandths. Andrew Tullock in the 65 Aston Martin, going through Melbourne hairpin. Tullock going over the line then, and it's no improvement on his lap from before, so he stays where he is. is Bird there in the 103 BMW. He's in the Pro category, for your information. Mark Bird in the BMW M4 GT3. They are all racing in GT3s, for your information. And Bird does improve his last effort, and that could give him the confidence he needs going into this session. So it's 20 minutes overall for qualifying, 10 minutes for the silver class drivers that are going out first, and the remaining 10 minutes will be for the pro drivers to head out on circuit to get their remaining laps in there. They haven't got a lot of time, so they haven't got long to get out there and get the laps required in. I can tell you it's 6 AM is in terms of qualifying time at Donington. We see Kyle Revel going out. Who was the first driver out of the pits? I think it was the 98 of Martin. No, it's Daniel Aus. It was who was the first driver out on circuit. No rain is expected. Track temperature 12 degrees. Air temperature 12 degrees. And as he approaches Coppice, there looks like a side wind that he's going through there, which must mean it's sort of like a tailwind into, or was it a tailwind or is it a crosswind that he's going through there into the S's? Either way, well, he knocks over the bollard there is Daniel Aus. Not sure if that's going to be needed anyway, but he'll just be eager to get on with it without any drama. He's got 35 drivers in the lobby at the moment. Aus is coming round to start his first lap. There's a black and orange flag being waved there. I don't know who that is signalling to. Someone at the moment could have a bit of a problem there with their car. You can see it's not waved to Daniel Aus, it's to the driver behind him that's being waved that flag. That's Martin Kruvek. It doesn't look like he's suffering any damage there. I wonder if that may just be a glitch within the game itself. You can see marshal post after marshal post is being waved the black and orange flag for no apparent reason there. I don't really see what damage he's picked up there as Kruvek, so it could just be an error from the game itself. Else is coming through onto the Starkeys straight. He's got a chicane coming up, which he'll need to navigate his way through, which he does. So there's that tyre stat that's just been knocked onto the racetrack, so that could cause a problem or two for the drivers back. I wonder if it was Martin Kruvek who hit that and then just continued on his way. Else coming round then. Goddard's for his first timed lap. What is this going to put him? Well, given it's the first lap, it goes to the top, 127.8. We're looking at Martin Kruvek to see how he gets on. It doesn't look like he got a valid lap in there, so he stays where he is. Dario Danko goes second, nearly half a second off the pace. Butcher goes to P2 for the time being. Ryan George getting his first lap in. We're looking at Kyle Revel there, who's just behind the, I think that's San Domenico, who's yet to get a lap time on there, a valid one. But Kyle Revel wasn't able to get a valid lap in. Jack King did though, half a second off the pace. Then it's Cameron Blair in 6th, a whole second off. Kel Hasco coming over the line now, he goes to P7, slowest of all those that have set a lap time. We are now looking at Andrew Tullock in the 65 Aston Martin. Will Rayner goes P6, and his lap time was a 1:28.8. Andrew Tullock goes to P3, and his lap time was a 1:28.1. Martin Kruvek around Melbourne Hairpin. There is Gordon Brown, who we want to watch in the silver class this evening. He had a tough time of it at Suzuka. Didn't feel the car was up to it for that track. so far in this session, it feels like the car is up to it in Donington. 127.3, half a second clear of everyone else, and that should give him all the confidence he needs to put himself in the frame for pole position in silver. We're looking at Martin Kravet. It goes up to 7th place now. So looking at the silver class drivers, still got a number of them have yet to post lap times. So we've got 37 drivers now in the server, which is great to see. Kel Husko is slowest of all of them. San Domenico goes up to 4th place. That's encouraging for him. He's gone better so far here than he did so last week at Suzuka. He was very much at the back with San Domenico, but his car coming alive here. It's a McLaren, in case you're wondering. It's a 221 McLaren. And the latest driver to go over the line, Franciossi, is now 13th, 1.5 seconds off. And Chris Gedman, who's out on circuit now, he's heading over the line. I don't know if he's going to get a lap in. Well, he's got his first lap time on the board. Slowest of all, 2.6 seconds off the pace. That time would have been a 1 minute 29.9. So it's a sub 90 second lap. But we'll want to go better than this one. And I think on a track like Donington, I expect Chris to go rather well at here. He did a good job in Suzuka in terms of how just kept his car on the circuit really throughout a lot of it, as he did in Paul Ricard, but he'll just want to keep his car within the track limits here, which has been a racetrack where track limits has caught out a number of drivers in the past in the races I've commentated on at Donington on this particular game cycle. Gordon Brown remains fastest then on a 127.2 ahead of Dario Danko, who's only a 10th behind in the 720 McLaren. Then it's pushed to 3rd with the fellow Ferraris of Will Rayner, Martin Kravet and Daniel Aus in 4th, 5th and 6th. And we've just seen San Domenico remain in 8th place, or someone's just moved up the order actually. That is the Irishman, Jack King, in the 740 Ferrari. Less than a 10th away from the silver class pole position, of which is occupied by Gordon Brown. And there is Andrew Tulloch going through Melbourne hairpin. Less than 9/10 off the pace as we speak. Kyle Revel, who was absent last week at Suzuka, needs to bounce back here if he's to have any chance of staying in the running for the championship. Tulloch going over the line then for his latest lap. It's good enough to propel him up the order into 5th position. A nice lap time there by Tulloch, who's in the 65 Aston Martin. Less than a second separating the top 12 in silver so far, which is good to see. Kel Husko and Stefano Franciossi, Cameron Blair, Alex Spanu and Chris Gedman have got some work to do. They've only got 2.5 minutes remaining, so they've only got time really for a couple more laps at most. And it's Gordon Brown. He's able to improve his time from before. He's now on a high 26. It's a 126.8, less than half a second clear over Jack King and Dario Danko. And now it's Butcher in 4th place in the Ferrari. Had a Daniel Aus, last week's winner. And it's Andrew Tulloch, who's just been booted down by Kyle Revel, who's up to 6th place in the McLaren. And then we've got the 78, or 77, I just saw Bollard being kicked up there. Massar, I think he improved his time there, but not his position. And who was that went over the line there? That looked like the 152 of Cameron Blair, who goes up to 11th place, so at least he's within a second of the fastest time. Hasgo improves his time, but only good enough for 13th. Franciossi, I think, improved his lap time. Chris Kedman definitely improves his time. He's up to 14th now in the Porsche. It's a good effort, but he's only got either 1 or 2 more goes at it here if he's going to start inside the top 10. Matteo De Angelis hasn't been out on circuit at all. I don't know whether he's serving some form of penalty or something like that, or whether his car is just not up to it over the course of a single lap. He'd rather just start at the back and make his way through the field from there, which, to be fair, he hasn't got too much work to do. He's not in the fight with any of the pro drivers. It's the silver drivers that he cares the most about, and given how long of a race we're going to have here in comparison to what we have mostly, he's got all the time he needs to catch up. So we've got 18 drivers from silver, 19 from pro, and we've got only 40 seconds of this qualifying session for the silver drivers remaining, so Those crossing over the line will be starting their final attempts. Kyle Revel feels he's done enough for 4th place. We're looking at Daniel Aus for the time being, but we want to look at other drivers who are heading over the line. Franciossi needs to improve his time, really. He's nearly 8 tenths off the next driver ahead of him, and his latest lap is not enough to move him up the order, but he's got time to get his next run in there. And who's that going over the line? Is that Chris Gedman going over? It is, and he's not able to improve, but he's got one more go at it. And the driver behind him there, don't know who that was just coming through. Was that Keith Massar? No, it's Will Rayner who has just gone through there to begin his last attempt. And all the pro drivers are coming out of the pits now, and those in silver will just be finishing their last efforts. We've got the 98 going over the line. That is Daniel Aus, who's heading for the pits, and 6th place or lower is where he'll end up. 248 of Martin Kravet coming through in the Ferrari, goes up into 6th position. That was a nice lap there by him. We've got the 720 of Dario Danko next, who's gone into the pits actually. Next driver we've got is Keith Massar in the 77 Ferrari. 9 tenths off the pace. Can he reduce that with this effort and get into the top 10? Yes, he can. Goes 8th. Nicely done by him. Cameron Blair, does he go up the order? 4th place for Cameron Blair. That was a massive improvement on his last timed effort. And he goes onto the 2nd row of the grid in silver. That's a great effort by him. And it looks like the rest of those are just heading back into the pits now. Will Rayner, only P11 at the present moment. This is his last chance to get up the order here. And he does not go up the order. Will Rayner will start 11th on the grid in silver. He's got a lot of work to do from there. But Gordon Brown will start from pole in the 134 Bentley with a 126.8, 2 tenths clear over Dario Danko, with Jack King and Cameron Blair next behind. Kyle Revel, booster on row 3 ahead of Martin Kravet and Daniel Aus. Keith Massar and Andrew Tullock are on the 5th row of the grid ahead of Will Rayner and Ryan George. San Domenico and Kel Hasco are next on row 7 ahead of Chris Gedman and Stefano Franciossi. Alex Spanu and Matteo De Angelis, who didn't make it out of the pits, didn't set a lap time, will be starting from the back. So I want to go to the pro drivers now, because they will be coming round to complete their first laps. Jay Wazza is coming over the line, I think. He's not moving up the order. I think that's just an outlap or something like that. He was just completing, and now he'll be on his flying lap. We've got the 696 of Chris Faster coming round. Is this going to be his first time on the board, I wonder? It's not. I'll probably expect Vermeulen, who is coming round. We've got a little over 7 minutes remaining. They haven't got long, these drivers. Vermeulen does go up the order straight to provisional pole. 126.2, and that's already 7 tenths clear than what Gordon Brown did in silver. That tells you how quick the South African driver really, really is. Matteo Simon over a second behind with Matteo Pessina, not too far off either. And then we've got Adam Sharp, who's gone up to 2nd place in pro, but 3rd overall. And how are the likes of Carl Sween and that getting on? Sween is a long way back, nearly 2 seconds off the pace. We want to go to Alberto Aragoneses, who's going to be one of those to be focusing on this evening. Aragoneses in the Mercedes AMG. His first lap time is not really a representative one, 3 seconds off the pace to what Vermeulen has done, and he's got a lot of work to do from there. But Aragoneses, in the last couple of races, has come through from towards the back to win out in the end. He's more of a race driver as opposed to someone who is strong over the course of a single lap. Luke Prentice in the 43 Ferrari. He's coming towards Goldels now. We've only got 5 drivers. Well, make that 4 if you exclude De Angelis, who didn't set a time within in the silver category earlier. And Luke Prentice is coming through over the line. And it's good enough for 5th fastest overall. Make that 6th because Carl Sween has been able to improve. He's in 5th place overall. 3rd in class is the American. A long way clear of Alberto Aragonés crucially. But what is Aragonés going to do here? Because he needs to improve on where he currently is right now. He's 32nd overall. Mark Bird, Simon Straczynski and Tyler Lewin have still yet to get their first times on the board. 3.3 seconds off the pace is Aragonés, says he should go up drastically with this latest lap. 2nd fastest behind Vermeulen. That is a much bigger improvement. And he's on the front row is Aragonés next to Jarrod Vermeulen. Adam Sharp down to 3rd now. Carl Sween 4th, who needs to respond to that. Here he is in the green liveried Porsche. Sween, who didn't have the best of races, was a frustrating one for him because he got stuck behind drivers of which he would have dreaded being following through lap by lap. It looks like Luke Prentice is up into 4th place, so Sween needs to improve from before here, and he doesn't with this lap. Stay where he is in 5th in class. Jeffrey Godefroy being pushed down because Matteo Pessina is up the order into 3rd in class, just shy of Gordon Brown's time earlier in the silver category. And it looks like Jeffrey Godefroy's gone up into P6 in class now. Simon Straczynski is also up there, 16th overall, 10th in the pro class. Alex Spanu is, well, so Mark Bird is the slowest out of all those in pro at the moment, but he's aiming for an improvement here. We'll have 3 more goes at it, I would say. We are seeing lap times improving left, right and centre here. Vermeulen is now on a 1:25.8 and he's coming around the last corner now to extend the margin potentially. And he comes over the line now, and it is a big improvement actually. 1:25.5 for him. He's owning this racetrack, is Vermeulen. Absolutely on form. What is Aragonés doing? Well, he's going through Coppice now. Luke Prentice in 3rd place in class. He's got the same time as Gordon Brown, whilst Matteo Pessina is heading through. And his that time is not good enough to go up the order. Adam Sharp and Jeffrey Godefroy also heading through. Godefroy in the 147 McLaren. It has improved his time, but not his position. Carl Sween down to 7th now in class. Simon 8th. Morgan Grace 9th. It looks like Sween's been pushed down even more now because it looks like, isn't it, Jack Prentice has gone up the order. It is. So Jack Prentice moves up. Matthias Simon has got some work to do from where he is. 1.7 seconds off the pace. I wonder how often Jarrod Vermeulen practices on this game cycle. He must have done so many laps in the machine that he has done. Simon coming through over the line. And it's not an improvement from before. He stays where he is. Simon Straczynski through. Is in the pit, sorry, at the moment. Farklov Vavissel had a race to remember last time out at Suzuka. He did a really good job on his way to what I believe was a 5th place finish. No, it was 10th, sorry. I think I was thinking of the one in Paul Ricard. But either way, he's finding some form somewhat. Jarrod Vermeulen coming through McLean's and towards Coppice now. Aragonés he's looking to at least just keep hold of his place on the front row. Pacina's in the pits. Luke Prentice on track, as is Adam Sharp and Carl Sween. And Jack Prentice is coming around the last corner now. And this is going to be an improvement from before. This time of Prentice is not an improvement. He'll have one more go at it. Looking at Carl Sween, he's in P7 behind Adam Sharp overall. That lap from Gordon Brown was stellar in comparison to what the others have done. The checker flag is out now. Anyone on a lap can finish it. Vermeulen comes over the line. I think he did improve his time by a little bit, but I think he's got pole position pretty much assured now as the 114 Ferrari driver. Luke Prentice coming through, hoping to improve on his time from before. He doesn't improve his time, remains where he is. Adam Sharp and Carl Sween are coming through, Goddard's, for the last time in this session. Sween heads for the pits, no improvement. Adam Sharp goes over the line, no improvement. Godfrey in the pits. Jack Prentice is on the circuit right now. Pavisel also out on circuit. Simon Straczynski is in the pits. He's done his bit for the session. There is Lewin, who's chasing for an improvement. And it looks like it's Prentice coming around the last corner. Jack Prentice it is. He is coming round and he's aiming for an improvement. Can he go in front of Jeffrey Godefroy here with this latest effort? He cannot. Prentice stays where he is, 9th overall, 8th in class. Farquhar for Vissel, aiming for higher than where he is at, heads for the pits. And Lewin will come round. Where is Lewin? Didn't quite see him in the end. But that concludes qualifying, and Jared Vermeulen will start from pole position in his first race this campaign, ahead of Alberto Aragoneses, with Matteo Pacina in 3rd place, ahead of Luke Prentice and Adam Sharp. Carl Sween in 6th place. He's got some work to do from there, with Jeffrey Godefroy and Jack Prentice on the 4th row in Pro. Jay Wasser and Ancelin Huguenot rounding out the top 10. It's Chris Faster and Farquhar for Bizzle in 11th and 12th. Andy Craven and Matthias Simon are 13th and 14th on the grid, followed by Morgan Grace and Simon Straczynski. Tylen Lewin and Mark Bird are on the 9th row in 17th and 18th, and the slowest driver out of all those in Pro is David Wagner in the 491 Porsche. That is qualifying. Now it's on to the race. 80 minutes long with an open free strategy for the drivers. Who is going to prevail on this Donington Park circuit located in the Midlands near Derby in the United Kingdom? We'll be back at the start of the formation lap to run down on the grid before the race gets underway. field are leaving off the grid now for the formation there, and we've got a bit of drama already because it looks like Luke Prentice and Matteo De Angelis, no, it's David Wagner, both of them have decided that they're going to be starting the race from the pit lane. So that's going to leave a few gaps open on the grid. We're just going to wait for the field to go through the first sector so that we get an updated grid for the start of this one. It's a very big field, 35 drivers on the grid, 2 will be starting from the pit lane. I don't know what has gone on there for Luke Prentice, who was 5th on the grid overall, 4th in class, and he's going to be starting from the back now. So I think we've got another car that's going to be starting from the pit lane, and it is Kyle Revel. He's not got going, or he's deciding he is going to start from the pit lane. He doesn't want to be involved in any first lap mayhem. So 34 drivers will be starting from the grid. Let's run down on this grid then for Taco Tuesday, round 7 of the Championship of Season 13 in the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Giro Vermeulen on pole with Alberto Aragoneses alongside. It's Matteo Pessina in 3rd ahead of Gordon Brown, the highest of all those in silver. And we've got Adam Sharp and Carl Sween on row 3. Jeffrey Godefroy and Jack Prentice on next in the McLaren and Ferrari ahead of Jay Wazza and Dario Danco, the 2nd highest of all those in silver. Angelique Huguenot and Chris Faster are on row 6, followed by Andy Craven and Farclav Vissel. And we've got Matteo Simon and Morgan Grace on row 8. Jack King and Cameron Blair are 17th and 18th ahead of Butcher and Simon Straczynski. Martin Krevek and Daniel Aus are on the 11th row of the grid. Keith Massar and Andrew Tullock are on row 12, followed by Will Rayner and Ryan George. Then we've got Lewin and San Domenico on row 14. Kel Hesgo and Mark Bird rounding out the top 30, followed by Chris Gedman and Alex Spanu. Stefano Franciossi and Matteo De Angelis on next. De Angelis did not set a lap time at all during qualifying. Starting from the pit lane are Luke Prentice and David Wagner from the Pro, Kyle Revel from Silver. 3 races to go in this season. We've got Donington today, Nürburgring next week, and the season finale at Watkins Glen in a fortnight's time from now. In the meantime, we focus on tonight. Who will come away with victory in both Pro and Silver? The cars are on the pits right now. We'll wait for the green flag from the marshal. And we are go in Donington. Vermeulen reacts reasonably well, but look out for Aragoneses. It looks to go side by side with them as they enter Redgate for the first time. But it's Vermeulen who holds the advantage ahead of the championship leader as they come towards the Craner curves. Vermeulen leads then ahead of Aragoneses. We've got Pessina keeping hold of 3rd position in the BMW. Then it's Carl Sween who I think has moved up a position ahead there of, just trying to see who that is. That's Adam Sharp he's just moved in front of as the sectors have been updated. So Carl Sween moves up 1 position from his starting place. That's important for his championship, but he needs to do more than just that. We've got Jack Prentice in P7 ahead of Jeffrey Godefroy, Jay Wazza and Dario Danco rounding out the top 10 so far. We've got an off involving the 254. That is Butter off the circuit in the Ferrari. He looks to get back on track without causing any more drama. And there we go. He rejoins at the back, but he's lost so many places and lost so much time. The 3 drivers that started from the pit lane have all joined in the race, so at least they've not been involved in any first lap accidents. Vermeulen continues to lead then over a second clear on Aragoneses. Now, what is important to point out is some drivers will be on less fuel to others because some will be opting to pit, others will not. They will probably go to the end depending on what they decide to do in relation to strategy. But this circuit typically does eat the tyres for breakfast, and the drivers are going to have to be wary of that because it is not a circuit where the drivers very much last, so it could be kind of obligatory that they are going to need to pit to avoid the tyres delaminating whilst they're out on circuit. 1 lap done then, and Vermeulen continues to lead the way. Matteo Pessina keeping up with Aragoneses, who will be thinking more about the championship at this point as opposed to just trying to go for the race win. He'll love to win, but his rival in the championship, Carl Sween, is in 4th place in class and wants to dispose of Gordon Brown straight away here as they enter Coppice for the second time. We'll go on board with Carl Sween. We'll get a better on board view. Here we go, look. As they go on to Starkeys. Brown defends the position. His nearest rival in silver is Dario Danko, who's 10th overall in this one. As they enter Melbourne. Now they apply the power once again on the exit. The sun is coming out. I think that you are racing in the morning here. It does look like it's sunrise to my eyes. No rain is expected. The track temperature and air temperature have gone up slightly from what it was in qualifying when I last saw. Vermeulen continuing to lead. Aragonés is over 3 seconds back now. Vermeulen absolutely flying. But I don't know whether he's got fuel on board, of which is going to make him pit, or whether it's just genuine pace that he's setting. If it is, then it's quite spellbinding, to say the least. Faster and Simon are fighting for 11th overall, which would be 9th in class. Simon going up the inside of Chris Faster, and Faster going a little bit too deep, and that might give Simon a little bit of an advantage on the exit of Coppice. But now they're going onto the Starkey straight. As we look at them going side by side with each other, Faster keeping his nose in front as they enter the S's. You can see that tyre set just being knocked out of the way onto the gravel track there on the outside, so the drivers don't need to worry about that now for the remainder of this one. Simon on the outside of Faster on the exit of Melbourne, and that is enough for Simon to make his way through past the Ferrari. So a nice move there for Simon, hoping to bounce back. We've just seen a bit of contact there between Pavizel and Grace on the exit of Goddard's, and Pavizel is able to keep his nose ahead of the Porsche driver. I want to see how Luke Prentice is getting on, because he started from the pit lane and he's only just really catching up to the back of the queue. We've got a driver in the pits now. I don't know who that is that's gone in there. Is it Keys Massar? No, it's not. It's just trying to see who it was. It was the 9-7. It might just be a connection thing, so just ignore that for now. Vermeulen's advantage is nearly 5 seconds already. Absolutely on fire. I'll tell you what, if he pulls out over a lap's advantage over the rest of the fields, I'll just be asking myself why wasn't he involved in the championship all the way through the season. Absolutely going for it. We know he's quick, but didn't expect him to be this quick. It's really, really impressive. And the advantage now over his nearest rival, I would expect it to be something like 6 seconds. It's 6.3. Really impressive. Sween is still stuck behind Gordon Brown in the fight for 4th. Godefroy ahead of Wazza as they come out of Redgate. And Wazza runs wide, nearly drops it. He needs to keep his nose clean there. So Gordon Brown leading silver ahead of Dario Danko, and it's Martin Krevek ahead of Daniel Aus and Jack King. That's going to be a battle to look out for in silver. And Franciosi in 37th and last place overall. .2 seconds is the margin for Vermeulen already. We haven't completed lap number 5. At this rate, he could end up lapping the entire field. He really, really could. we've got a yellow flag at Melbourne Hairpin, and it's the 945 that's gone round. It's Huguenot. Oh, and there's a pilot behind, and it's causing absolute traffic jam. And Anselin Huguenot, I don't know what has caused him to spin round. He hasn't been able to get the car going. And yeah, the car is badly damaged there. Don't know why he waited a long time to get the car moving, but that'll be some repair work being done. And his race is effectively done, to be honest with you. This is another race to forget for Huguenot. And I can imagine some of the cars that hit him have been affected horribly. Cameron Blair's car is damaged. You can see him dropping down the order as well. I can imagine he'll need to pit in to get that fixed. His car will not be handling as sweetly as what it was before the contact. Lap 6 done, and Vermeulen's margin is continuing to increase by the minute. It's Aragonessa's in P2. The gap is now 9.1. Surely Vermeulen has got less fuel on board in his car than the Mercedes AMG. And we've got another car spinning around. It's the 79 of Chris Gedman, who's dropped down the order. Looking at the state of his machine, he's got a little bit of dirt on there, but he's going on his way. I don't know, maybe he tapped him round. He's down the order to 35th. Franciossi, the company. Huguenot has left the server now. His race is done. There's 2 non-finishes in a row for him. Vermeulen continuing on his way. Absolutely on fire. Sharp, Prentice, Godefroy, and there's Simon and Danko, who's under attack from Faster into the Melbourne Hairpin. He doesn't need to worry about him anyway because he's not in the same class as he is. So Faster goes through ahead of the McLaren. Bizzle is wanting to make his way past as well. And now we're looking at battle further ahead because Godefroy and Prentice are going toe to toe. Right on board with the McLaren of Godefroy as they exit Redgate, down the Craner curves towards the old hairpin. They both ride the curbs on the exit. And now they head up towards McLean's. And they continue to ride the curbs there, do Prentice and Godefroy as they come up the hill towards Coppice once more. And the battle seems to have calmed down from there, although not for Simon because he wants piece of the action himself as they go through the S's again, and Simon got a better exit than Godefroy and Prentice. I don't think he has done. We've seen a few daring overtakes at this corner already in this race, and I think it's backfired a few of the drivers. Seems to be calming down now because they know that it's a long race. It's not one of the first, not one in the opening stages. Cameron Blair spinning around a little bit. He loses further ground, and it looks like Luke Prentice is round the outside of him, or trying to. He needs to get back into the action here as Luke Prentice has already lost a lot of time. I don't know what happened to him in the opening stages. Domenico has lost a lot of places as well in the last sector, so he's dropped down the order. The gap that Vermeulen has over Aragonés now is 13 seconds. He's still yet to complete the lap here. And we've got a car off just on the exit of the old hairpin. It's the 221 that's gone for a spin, and it's San Domenico. I don't know what has happened to him, but it looks like he's hit the barrier, and that could be his race done. And he's back in the pits, so that is his race effectively over. That's one from Pro and one from Silver out so far. Vermeulen continuing to lead by 14 seconds now. As he starts ticking through the laps, ticking down the time. Looking unbeatable at the moment. As we watch Grace and Simon continuing to dice it out. Go on board with Matthias Simon. He's going after the fellow Porsche of Morgan Grace. Down the back straight they come towards the S's. Simon not able to find a way through just yet. See someone running wide though on the exit of the S's. That tells you how hard they really are pushing. Only 15 minutes into the race already, and Vermeulen is making it look so easy. Matteo De Angelis, who started from the back after he failed to set a time, he's made his way through the field. He's 20th overall, and he's already up into 7th in class, which is really impressive. He's behind Andrew Tulloch. In fact, the next 4 cars ahead of him are all in the same class as he is. So he's got a battle to be focusing on now. I think 3rd in class is probably his aim, given the way this race is going. You can see the cars ahead of him just holding up each other, and that's playing into the hands of De Angelis as they go through Coppice again. Right on board with the 58 Ferrari of Matteo De Angelis, who won in class at Paul Ricard a couple of weeks ago. Approaches the S's, doing his best to not run into the Aston Martin ahead of Andrew Tulloch. Got a very nice exit. He pulls alongside as they head towards the Melbourne hairpin, and he's got all the space he needs to get alongside here, does De Angelis, and he's through. And Tulloch knew that once he was alongside there, he didn't really have a leg to stand on. So he goes through, there does De Angelis, providing that Tulloch doesn't fight back on the inside into Goddard's. De Angelis has got the move done. He moves up into 6th place in silver. And now they come out of Redgate corner. That's a little wide there, and that might give Tulloch a bit of a chance to fight back here. This is going to be brave for him to get alongside. He's not really alongside though, is Tulloch, and that would have been a very, very brave area to get the move completed, and that probably would have backfired had he tried to still go for it. An update on the lead then in Pro. Vermeulen's margin is over 17 seconds over Alberto Aragoneses, he'll be happy with the way the race is going anyway because of where Carl Sween is. 4th place in class as it stands with the points as it is. He'll be extending his margin by 2 points. He'll have a 12-point lead going into the penultimate round at the Nürburgring. Morgan Grace is behind, well, he's still ahead of Jay Wazzer. Well, he's ahead of Jay Wazzer because he was in a battle not too long ago with, oh, and there's a bit of contact there with Jay Wazzer. The two are going to fight out into the Craner curve. Who's going to come out on top here? And it's the Bentley of Jay Wazzer who goes through, ahead of Morgan Grace. But Wazzer's gone too deep, and that's going to give the invitation that Grace needs to go back through again. So we didn't need a second invitation there. There's Luke Prentice still going through there, and there's an off there for Massart. Massart has gone off the circuit there and has lost a ton of places whilst he has been at it. Vermeulen continuing to lead out in front, and he's coming up to lap his first car of the race. We're only 19 minutes in. Stefano Franciossi, who's been in the wars already in this race, is about to go down a lap. We're on lap 14. And the 79 has spun, and that'll be Chris Gedman. No damage done, I think, to that machine, but he has gone for a little bit of lawn mowing. He's back on track now, but he's nearly a lap down on the leader. Unless something happens to Vermeulen, you know, whether it's connection issues or tripping over someone. And Franciossi is just staying out of the way of the leader. He knows he's not in that battle, and I don't think he really needs to go out that wide to let him go. That tells you about Franciossi in terms of where he's at as a driver. I think he's got a lot of practicing to do if he's going to become a pro driver, something like what Jeroen Vermeulen is at. I think even if he is on lighter fuel, I don't think we would have expected him to be out in front the way he has been doing, because it's not often that we see this. We don't see someone pull out a gap of over 20 seconds, 20 minutes into the race, without any pit stops being done yet. The 740 has gone for a spin now at McLean's, and that's Jack King. It looks like he's got a little bit of rubbish on his windscreen. Falls behind Chris Gedman. And I think we've also lost another driver in this race. I don't know who it is, but that driver's now gone. Sunday Monaco we know is out. Angelin we know is out. I don't know whether it's someone from Pro or someone from Silver. That's my difficulty there. I think it might be Lewin that is gone from this. No, sorry, Lewin's still in the race. He's 20th overall. My apologies. But yeah, Vermeulen's gap is, well, it's 21.5 seconds. He's pulling out at over a second a lap. And he's coming into the pits to avoid losing time being lapped by the leader. And I think he may have picked up some damage there as Jack. It's been a race to forget for him in this. There's Chris Faster on the inside there of Jack Prentice. They just about avoid contact by the looks of it. Now Vissel, who's had a spirited race so far, fancies his chances. Out of the last turn. Heading over the line now. The battle for 8th place rages on. Donington is in the middle of all this. But he won't want to risk losing 2nd place in silver. We're a quarter of the way through the race now in terms of minutes. And so far so good for the driver in the 114 Ferrari. No such problems so far. Carl Sween in 5th, behind Gordon Brown, as they come up towards the last corner. Jack Prentice behind, or he's ahead of this queue of cars. Chris Faster, Farquhar Bizzle. Looks like Jay Was has dropped back a few positions. He must have made a mistake. I think in sector 3, hence why Morgan Grace is back ahead of him. Angelis, who's running in 19th position overall, is still trying to find his way past Ryan George. I think Andrew Tulloch is back ahead of De Angelis, and Tulloch has made his way up the order, so Tulloch is coming alive a little bit more now. But no one's going to come close to Vermeulen. Doesn't need to worry about passing any cars, although he is going past cars in the context of lapping them. In regards to overtaking cars for positions, that's a totally different story. And I think if he was to pit halfway through this race, he'll probably still come back out in the race lead, even before anyone else pits. Sharp ahead of Godefroy, fighting over. Well, Gordon Brown is not in the same class as these three. He's the leader of silver. No, Gordon Brown has yet to win in silver this season so far. His best finish has been a 2nd place at Suzuka last week. Jack Prentice, who's just ahead of Chris Faster in the battle for 8th position overall, 7th in class. He's got a gaggle of cars hot on his heels. So Prentice leading an 8-car queue. All the way back to Andrew Tulloch, who's in 16th overall. And now we see a move from Morgan Grace on the inside there of Jay Wazza. Does Wazza see him? He does see him. Now we are continuing to see Jure Vermeulen going through Coppice again. And we've got the 103 of Mark Bird, who will be the next driver to be lapped by him. Vermeulen's lead is 26 seconds. Vermeulen coming out of the last corner. Margin continuing to increase. More and more and more. Absolutely on form. And there we're seeing Chris Faster going down the order. I don't know what's happened to him. I think he must have made a mistake in the second sector of the lap, hence why he's dropped down the field again out of that queue that he was in. It doesn't look like Jack King's... Has Jack King rejoined the race? He has. And Martin Kravek is in the pits. I would think this is going to be a scheduled stop unless I'm mistaken. Has he picked up some damage on that cut? Oh, he's picked up a horrible amount of damage. And that's going to be him in the pits for a long time. That's a shame there for Kravek because he was running quite high in the silver category. And Vermeulen just about getting through on that. I think that's Mark King. Mark Bird, sorry, he's putting a lap on. So Bird down a lap. So we've lost 4 drivers already from this one. Don't know about one of them. Can't, because there's so many names. It's difficult for me to keep up with who's gone from this one. No, Angelina's gone. Kravek doesn't like he's going to be rejoining. Sedemenico has left as well after stopping out on circuit. There's one other driver which I can't remember. I don't even know who has gone. Vermeulen continuing to head out in front. And the battle is raging between Sharp and Godefroy here. Godefroy up the inside of Sharp into Goddard's. We just caught the last moment of that. And Godefroy is through into 6th place overall, but for how long? Because Sharp is trying to fight back, but Godefroy's move is already completed. Wazza now up to 8th overall, head of Abyssal, because Jack Prentice has dropped down. The sun is continuing to rise here in Donington. Looking at the time of what where we are in terms of the rain, in terms of time, it doesn't actually tell you there what the time is. Just have to assume it's the morning anyway. Looking at the helicopter angle there of Morgan Grace. He's going after Jack Prentice for what is 9th in class. And now we're looking at Craven, who's got up the inside of Danko. Danko won't be too fussed about that, so that's not his race. And you can just see Grace trying to find a wider line so you can get a better acceleration on the straight. And we could see him go for it, heading towards Redgate, using all the road and then some to go alongside, and he's not quite got the move done, so we'll have to wait back for a little bit longer. And Carlsween in 4th place in class as it stands with the championship table as it is. He will be 12 points behind with only 2 races left, so he's got to really get his foot down or hope that trouble hits his rival Aragoneses ahead. Saving grace for him is that Aragoneses is not the one dominating this. That is Jared Vermeulen. Cameron Blair is in the pits now, and his car has picked up some damage by the looks of things. He's going to be in there for quite some time, I would have thought, or it might actually be a pit stop. We'll go to Well, there's Kyle Revel there. Luke Prentice from the pit lane is up into 23rd overall. Just ahead of Simon Straczynski. Martin Kravik has rejoined the race for your information, but he's so far behind now. So he'll just be looking to get to the end of this. There's a drive-through penalty for the 95, and that will be Kyle Revel for track limits. He's the first one to receive that. That will drop him down the order. Vermeulen's gap over Alberto Aragoneses. What is it now? It must be, I think, something like 31 seconds over the Mercedes AMG Pilot. We won't find out, but it is a very huge gap, I can tell you that. Well, Kyle Revel's come into the pits for his stop, but I don't think that's going to count as his drive-through. Surely it won't count as his drive-through. Aragoneses down the Craner curves once more. So far in front. And he's that far out in front, we can't really see what the gap is over his rival. He says it's 13.8. I can say that is not. That's not the actual gap. I'm just looking on the weight, the handicap with the drivers, because I'm looking at Vermeulen. It's at minus 4 kilograms over Aragoneses minus 6. Pacina's plus 8. That's quite an interesting piece of information if it's any use. And Carl Sween's fallen behind Jeffrey Godefroy now. Godefroy's got through, so that's bad news for Gordon Brown's race. Godefroy got the move done into Redgate corner. Andrew Tulloch has come into the pits in the 65 Aston Martin. We'll see how long this pit stop takes. It was 45.26 I clocked it at. But I would expect him to remain in the pits for about 35 seconds. For a stop like this. So I think by around about 44.51 it should be out, although it's a lot quicker actually. It's got out in 20 seconds. And I would think that was for only a change of tyres. Vermeulen coming up to lap. Here's the 152 of Cameron Blair, who's gone down a lap now. Now I would expect pretty much the whole field is going to end up being lapped by this man by the end of the race, depending on how the pit stops play out. Making it look so easy is Vermeulen. There's no question. Aragoneses can't do anything about it. Just seen someone heading into the pits there. Is that Mercedes Andlis who's just come in? No, it's Keith Massar who's gone into the pits. And I think, I'm just looking at the leaderboard because I think we've lost another driver from this race. Can't quite tell who it actually is. It's not Cameron Blair because he's still in. Martin Kravik is still in the race. We've got 33 left in the server now. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there between Vermeulen and the 97 of Lewin. Oh, and there's a car pointing the wrong way. Is that Jeffrey Godefroy? No, it's not. I want to have a look because that looks quite a serious incident there. Oh, and that's Will Rayner. And that's a massive, massive concertina going on here. And it's Andy Craven. He was the one pointing the wrong way. Did the leader get through safely? I think he did. And it looks like Craven has gone straight into the pits via the pause menu, so I think that's his race done. Morgan Grace has come into the pits as well. Has his car taken any damage? I don't think it did. But Andy Craven, what a dreadful race it's been. Now he's pretty much out of sync with the field. And that's his race heavily compromised now. I think this is going to be the difficulty here for Vermeulen, is going through the traffic. And Lewin is in. And so is Matej, not Matej De Andres, sorry. De Andres is just going up the field. Simon Straczynski staying out of the way. And that car though is going slow. I don't know who that is that's going quite slowly there. That doesn't look like it's going exactly at racing speed. And that's Franciossi, who has gone down another lap now. I really do think he's got some practicing to do. He's going to be really competing with these. Because these are a ruthless bunch, I can tell you that. Very well experienced, these lot now. In terms of this game cycle, it's been out for the best part of 6 years. Vermeulen is, well, he's continuing to make it look. He's continuing to be ever so dominant. There's Chris. Is that Chris Gedman going into the pits? No, it's David Wagner coming in for his first stop. He was one of those starting from the pit lane, if you remember. Vermeulen can breathe a sigh of relief now. Now he's got through all of that. It was a bit of a scare for him, but luckily he was able to avoid it all. And Godefroy's got through on Gordon Brown into 4th place overall. Carl Sween want to get through very quickly as well. The fact that Sween's lost the position, it's another championship point down the drain. He would be 13 points behind as it stands. There's a drive-through penalty for Matteo De Angelis for track limits, and that'll be him off into the pits within the next 3 laps. And Carl Sween coming through there. There is David Varner coming out of the pits. Halfway into this race now as we watch Sween go through turn number 1, which is Redgate. They will not want to get held up by Wagner, will Sween. Daniel Alves is coming into the pits, as is Chris Faster. Matteo Pacina has come in from 3rd position. He's been in the box now for quite some time. It's a busy pit lane as we speak, as we are at the halfway point. And now we are seeing Simon Straczynski heading in. Now, will Vermeulen decide to pit in at all? Well, I can tell you we've got an accident at Goddard's because the number 8 has gone round. We're trying to see what exactly has been going on there. It looks like they've continued on their way, but it may not have been the 58 there. There is Matteo De Angelis leaving the pits after his drive-through. There's a lot of activity in the pit lane. The drivers continue to dice over position. Alex Spanu has come into the pits. He's picked up a bit of dirt on his windscreen. Don't know how many times he's been going through an excursion. I think he might have been the one involved in the accident at Goddard's. Andy Craven is still in the pits. It looks like his race is as good as done. So we've got 32 still running now, out of the 37 that started. Jeffrey Godefroy has come into the pits for what is expected to be his only stop of the race. Gerard Vermeulen coming round the last corner, and he's also heading in. And I think even with this stop, even if Alberto Aragoneses attempts to take over the lead, Vermeulen will remain ahead. We'll stay with Vermeulen for this stop. Towards the end of the pit lane as well. And a drive-through penalty, so we clocked it at 37.50. Drive-through penalty for Alex Spanu for track limits. That'll be, unless it's speeding in the pit lane. I think it was for speeding in the pit lane for Alex, so he'll be in the pits for the next 3 tours. So Vermeulen in the box. Where will he feed back out here? And Alberto Oganes has gone into the lead. Vermeulen has done his stop now. That was around about 34 seconds, I would say. And he's going to rejoin in second position by the looks of it. He's ahead of Gordon Brown. So Vermeulen rejoins in second place after building up what was over 36 seconds of a lead. I know it's more than that because they clocked it at the time when he crossed over the line whilst he was in the pits. So I would say that's looked more like 45 seconds for Vermeulen. There's Aragonés on his own. If he's going to win this race, he'll have to just stay out there for the remainder of this, but there's no way he's going to hold on to the race lead. I'd be stunned if he did. It was like 14 seconds in sector 1 when Vermeulen went through. I would expect it to be less than that by sector 2. It's 13.3. Wazza and Professor are in the pits together. And Spanu has done his drive-through. I think Aragonés is deciding that he will go to the end. I think Vermeulen had pitted him for fuel because he was in the box for over half a minute. Whereas when, I can't remember who it was that came in for that 20-second stop. I think it was Andrew Todd that came. Oh, there's a car off. Who's that that's gone off the circuit? It's the 740 that's gone off the circuit. That's Jack King off for the second time in this race. And I wonder if he hit the barrier because he's in the pits. And that is pretty much his day's work's done. I don't know whether he'll return to the circuit. Says going a lap there on the Aston Martin by the looks of it. 65 Aston Martin of Andrew Tulloch, 18th overall in this race. Tulloch is 6th in class as Mark Bird drops down the order. Aragonés is continuing on. I don't blame him because he wants this win. Vermeulen is coming round, complete another lap. What's the gap between the two? It's 10.9. The way this race is going as well, I'd probably say we're looking at around 56 laps at most. Yeah, there's no way Aragonés is going to hold on to the lead here, given that Aragonés is on much better tyres. Said that, Vermeulen will need to get through all those back markers. And DeAngelis is in 16th position overall, but he's still 4th in class after his drive-through. And Spanu is well down the order, working it out. Is 14th in class out of the 15 that's still running. The only car behind him is Martin Krevek, who was in the pits for some time with damage. 10 seconds is the margin between Aragonés and Vermeulen in sector 2. Now we've had a bit of trouble there to get through. Just trying to see who was that he was getting through. Looking at the initials there on the windscreen, that was Daniel Aus. Daniel Alves has let Vermeulen through. It's coming down towards the Craner curves. Mark Bird is in the pits now. And has he got damage though? Is this a scheduled stop? I think it's a scheduled stop for Mark. It's probably too long before we see him back out on circuit. Bird rejoins the race. We'll get an update as to where he is on the leaderboard. He's outside the top 20, I can tell you that. I would say he's down in 27th position overall. Vermeulen continuing on though. Aragonessa's continuing to lead, but for how long? It's going to be a nail-biting finish. I think Carl Sween is looking to go to the end on his tyres as well. He's in third place right now. If Aragonessa's getting the win, the gap will be 12 points after this one, with 2 races left. .2 seconds it is, with just over half an hour remaining. I think it's a matter of when Vermeulen will get by Aragonessa as opposed to if. And in sector 2, 6.7. I think when Vermeulen gets back onto the rear of Aragonessa's, this is when, well, that is when these two will most certainly go into combat, which is the kind of battle we've been craving all race, because so far it been all Joe Vermeulen until the pit stop arrived for him to change tyres. He didn't have to do that if he didn't want to, but I would assume that he needed to pit him for fuel, hence why he had as long of a stop as he did. Less than 6 seconds off the lead at the end of lap 34. Track temperature at 14 degrees, likewise for the air temperature. Jack Prentice is behind Adam Sharp in the battle for 4th place in the Pro class. And Matteo Pessina, after his pit stop, is 8th in class, or 7th in class I should say. He's got some work to do if he's to get back up into the podium position. A lot of work to do, in fact. And just see Vermeulen's getting caught up in traffic there. Ryan George is trying to get through. Now Chris Gedman is the next to navigate through, which he does so. Gedman does not get in the way of Vermeulen. And whilst Vermeulen is making his way through back markers, so is Aragonessa's. .3 seconds is the margin. Now we are seeing Andrew Tulloch making his way out of the way. .6 seconds now between the top two. Prentice behind Sharp in the battle for 5th place overall. The 134 of Gordon Brown comes in, so that releases Carl Sween. What will this mean for Dario Danko though? And how long of a stop is Gordon Brown going to have? Here's the next question. Because if Dario Danko is going to want to win this race, he needs, it looks like he's going to be heading actually. So Will Rayner, where is he on the circuit? Well, he's coming through Coppice now, so I would expect Brown to stay in the lead in silver, as Rayner goes off the circuit there for a moment. He rejoined back on, and that's not going to give the sight of which Aragonés wants to be seen, because he can't afford to get held up in traffic here. With Jared Vermeulen breathing him down sector by sector. The gap is 3.5 seconds. Aragonés needs to make his way through on Rayner here, and there's a 30-second stop-and-go penalty for Dario Danko. The driver second in class before he pitted in is going to have to come in again to get a stop-and-go penalty served within the next 3 laps. And that's ruined his race again. It was connection issues in Japan last week that cost him the race win. Now a stop-and-go penalty for spinning in the pit lane is going to cost him most certainly a podium. He may even fall out of the top 10 in his own class. The gap between Aragonés and Vermeulen is down to 2.4, but Vermeulen's got 2 more back markers between him and Aragonés, of which he'll need to get through. And there's one of them out of the way. That will have been... I don't know who that is actually. I think that's a driver going down another lap by the looks of it. And there is Will Rayner out of the way as well. And now Vermeulen can go after Aragonés for the race lead. The gap is 1.7 seconds. This is a straight fight now for the win here at Donington Park. Round 7 of the championship, 2 rounds to go after this. Now for Carl Sween's championship hopes, he needs Vermeulen to get through on Aragonés here. He's going to do very, very soon, I would think. Danko comes in to serve his stop-and-go penalty. And now we are seeing the top 2 in Pro go head-to-head on circuit with a little over 25 minutes remaining in this race. Let me know who your money is on. Danko, after his stop and go, continuing to drop down. Is he going to rejoin ahead of Keith Massart? He's actually behind him. And he nearly falls behind Kel Hasgo whilst he's at it. So that drops Danko. So from second place in class, he's down to 10th there. And we're going back to the leaders here because Vermeulen is all over the back of Aragonés now as they come out of Melbourne Hairpin. Aragonés has to go defensive here if he wants to be winning this race. But it's a matter of time before Aragonés makes his way through. Into Goddard's, where will Vermeulen go for it here? Aragonés will need to keep the inside close to make Vermeulen go the long way round here. He doesn't do that. He was able to brake later. That's going to give Vermeulen the high ground on the exit. And Vermeulen is through into the race lead here at Donington. He's passed. Joe Vermeulen in the 114 Ferrari takes back the lead of this Taco Tuesday race at Donington. And Aragonés wasn't going to hold on to that for too much longer, in all honesty. The gap that Aragonés has got over Carl Sween, I just want to see whereabouts Sween is in comparison to Aragonés. The gap as they go through the Craner curves is 24 seconds, so Aragonés has got a 24-second gap to manage. That's not going to be enough for him to retain it if he decides to pit in, unless Sween does the same. But Vermeulen is back where he deserves to be, in the race lead. 31 drivers running in the race now. As Franciossi continuing to stay out of the way of drivers. And the 720 there, is that Danko who's going slowly there? That does not look like a car that's going at a good pace at all. As Straczynski's closing him in all the time. It must be a nightmare for a driver having to get out of the way of cars all the time. Particularly if you are Dario Danko. It's had a race to forget. And Straczynski should make his way through. Chris Gedman coming in for tyres. And he just stopped there at 22.24. This should be a shorter pit stop here. Something like 15 seconds. There's a drive-through for Matej De Angelis again for track limits. His race gets worse now. So we should see Gedman come out here. He must be in for fuel because he's been in the box for 30 seconds. Yeah, he's out on his way. He's off the box. He's off the jacks, I should say. But De Angelis is going to be in the pits again to get another drive-through served. That's the last thing he needed there. Who's in third in class, even with the drive-through. He could have been leading had he not been for that, and now he's continuing to make off-track excursions. And Franciossi in the pits. Whether that's a scheduled one, whether that's him calling it a day, but the fact we've got 21 minutes to go, he might as well just go to the end. Was with Matej De Angelis, he needs to come in to get a drive-through served. He's going to do that now on this lap, providing he doesn't speed in the pit lane. And there's Franciossi leaving his box now as well, presumably to get another set of tyres on. You'll see security and the crew on the pit wall watching on. This race continuing to unfold, and after that drive-through, De Angelis has dropped behind Andrew Tulloch and he's ahead of Keith Massar. So from third in class, De Angelis is down to 6th. It's Vermeulen now over 4 seconds clear. Aragonés is managing the gap between himself and Carl Sween. Adam Sharp is a long way behind Sween. So it's only going to be a point increase for Aragonés as it stands. Butcher coming in for his stop. I don't know if he had already pitted in, did Butcher? I thought he had pitted in before. Butcher, who's in the silver class, just trying to find his name, Wojtek Butcher, who's done his stop now, presumably. He's in the last box before pit exit. He's got a big enough gap over Alex Spanu, who has got over a lap, he's got a lap basically to catch up to him. Less than 20 minutes to go then. We've had an hour of this race, and it's looking ever so good for Jared Vermeulen, on course for victory for the first time this season. The runner-up of season 12. He's looking to make up for lost time. And he's going to get his first points of the season. As it stands, with the points being dished out as they are, expected to go up to 19th in the standings. Butcher hasn't left the box yet. He's been in there for a long time. Franciossi has continued to stay in the race. I think Butcher might have just called it a day, to be honest with you, because he's been in there for that long, unless he's got repair damage he's trying to amend. No, he's coming out of the pits now, which is good to see. So he joins in 30th position behind Martin Kravek, who's had a real day to forget. Disappointing, really. He's had a good few races before tonight. Martin Kravik was to finish in the position he is. He's currently looking at where he is in class. 13th it would be. Now, how far is he behind Alex Spanu? I want to have a look to see where he is. He's actually over 16 seconds behind, so if he can catch him, actually, because we know how quick Kravec is in comparison to Spanu, then you can maybe get an overtake done on him sooner rather than later. Well, there is your silver race leader, Gordon Brown, 16 seconds clear over Will Rayner, who is in a fight with Ryan George and Daniel Aus. And George fancies to go on Rayner, but he didn't get the best of exits out of the S's. And behind Aus is Andrew Tulloch, who is less than 5 seconds off this group. So he'll fancy a go of it on these three, I should say. Well, this could be crucial, because as it stands going into this round, Gordon Brown was 5 seconds off Daniel Aus. If the positions are to remain as they are, I don't know who's got the fast step out of the group here, but let's just assume none of them has that point. Gordon Brown would close in, and the gap would go from 5 points to 2. If Ryan George closing in on Aus by a point, and with Kyle Revel, who I believe is no longer around in the server. He may have been the one that had left, which we didn't know of. So look, he's not going to be scoring tonight, and neither is Jack King. So Will Rayner will move up 2 positions into 4th place, and Andrew Tulloch will move up 2 positions into 5th. It's looking like a 2-horse race for the title in silver between Daniel Aus and Gordon Brown. And now we are seeing Ryan George behind Will Rayner. Does he go for it into Melbourne Hairpin? He's thinking of it here. Pushing Will Rayner into a mistake. Goes for it on the inside. Does Rayner see him? He does see him in time. And now he's making Aus or George go to the outside. On the exit of Gollards, there's no way through yet for George, but now he's having to go defensive because he's got Aus right behind. And Tulloch is over 3 seconds back from these three. Angelos after his drive through, trying to make up for lost time. He's got David Wagner right behind. "31 drivers still going out of the 37 that started. Vermeulen's gap over Aragoneses is nearly 11 seconds now. Aragoneses is content to settle for second here. And Sween just simply cannot do anything about Aragoneses ahead. The gap was 24 seconds the last time we checked. See what the gap is when Sween goes through sector 2. And the gap is 26. The top 3 look settled at the moment. Sharp is nearly 5 seconds clear of the Prentices of Jack and Luke. Luke's done very well actually to come through from the back. I don't think he's actually pitted, you know, has Luke. Otherwise he wouldn't have got up that high. He's doing a fine job. He's ahead of Matteo Pessina, who has pitted. And Jeffrey Godefroy, who's in 8th place. Morgan Grace, Farglove Whistle, Jay Wazzer, the 11 drivers from Pro in the top 11 overall in this one. There's Gordon Brown, 18 seconds clear of Will Rayner. That, I think, in terms of the battle for the win in that, unless something drastic happens to Brown, that is that sorted in silver for this evening. And now we're looking at Will Rayner losing the position to Ryan George on the exit of McLean's, and George is up the inside of the number 5 Ferrari, and he gets through. Rayner goes way out wide onto the curbs, opens the door for Daniel Aus to take advantage, and Aus is able to get through into Starkeys And that's him going through into the podium places. Rayner losing 2 positions in a space of a few hundred metres. And now next behind Rayner is Andrew Tullock. And Jay Wazzers dropped down. He's behind Gordon Brown actually, he's got through on ahead of him. To 11th overall. That won't change things in terms of the points he picks up for his efforts, but he's done a very good job today as Gordon Brown. In a car that is suited to this circuit clearly, unlike in Suzuka last week. He's made the most of it and it's worked. Less than 12 minutes remaining then. Vermeulen is on his 47th lap of this one, approaching the end of lap 47. I did sort of predict we would get to 56 laps. I mean, we're looking at a lap of just under 90 seconds. So we're probably looking at around 8 more laps of this one, so it'll be 55, won't it? But it depends on also how far the leader is round on the lap when the clock reaches 0. Vermeulen continues to lead out in front. Aragonés is in second place. It's Carl Sween who's 28 seconds back in third. And Luke Prentice is behind his brother now in the battle for 5th place, up ahead. This battle is not over by any means. Pride at stake within the Prentice family. And Will Rayner has come into the pits. And it looks like his tyres have really fallen off the cliff. The windscreen is damaged. Well, it doesn't look like it's damaged, or is that just dirt which is picked up on there? It's difficult to say from the angle there. It's a quick change of tyres and he should be out on his way here. De Angelis will have gone through now. Keith Massar is ahead of him. Kel Hasgo is ahead of him. And Dario Danko will also move up a position. A drive-through penalty for the 104. Who is that? It's Aragonés! Alberto Aragonés has received a drive-through penalty for track limits. The driver leading the championship has got a 28-second margin over Carl Sween, so I think he should be able to keep hold of second place. He's staying out for now, but that was the last he needed there, and that could give him, that's going to give him a bit of a scare in the closing stages. That makes Vermeulen's life easier. We're into the closing stages. I wonder how many more track limit violations are going to be pinged out to drivers. As we look at Jack Prentice holding up his brother now, and it looks like Luke is going to get a run on him into Melbourne. Luke up the inside of Jack, and that's him through into P5. What a brilliant drive from the pit lane for Luke Prentice. He's got 6 seconds to make up there on Adam Sharp if he wants 4th position. But this is a real sterling effort. How is Aragonés getting on? Well, he's got a margin of like 29 seconds over Carl Sween. Probably be 30 by the time he enters the pits. Now, he is allowed to cross over the line one more time. Next time around, he has to serve his drive-through. So I think he's trying to get out a gap over his championship rival here before he pits in. In fact, he's coming in now. 29 seconds. Slowing down to the box there. Must feel like an eternity going down this pit lane for Aragonés, but I think he'll have enough in hand to remain ahead here. But that's going to encourage Carl Sween. most certainly. And I would say he has lost about 25 seconds over Sween. Sween is only coming onto the pit straight. Oh, and there's a car spun. Who's that spun? It's the number 45 by the looks of it. No, it's the number 65. It's Andrew Tulloch has gone round on the exit of Goddard's. I don't know what on earth has happened to him. Has he lost drive or something like that? Because he's lost a lot of time there. Massar's gone through ahead of him. So he might have only lost one position, but that's not good for his race either. And the gap is 11 seconds between Aragoneses and Sween. So we'll see how much time Aragoneses really lost. Thanks to that drive-through that he picked up. He will not want to pick up another one now. And the gap is 11 seconds. So I would say Aragoneses lost 18 to 19 seconds. Thanks to that drive-through. Maybe 20. And now on lap 51. Joe Vermeulen continuing to lead. And Luke Prentice closing in on Adam Sharp. And the gap between the pair is 5.8 seconds. With only 6 minutes left though. As Prentice continues to run out wide. Looking at Grace and Pavizel, who are fighting over 9th position. Jay Wazzer is in this as well. Gordon Brown's margin is 17 seconds over Ryan George and Daniel Owls, who are still fighting over P2 in the silver class. De Angelis is in 4th place. Massar 5th now. Dario Danko, who has been in the wars today. He's going to be settling for 8th in class, ahead of Cameron Blair, who is not too far behind him, but it's a gap that's too big now at this stage of the race. And Chris Gedwin will be reasonably happy with his efforts. I think Will Rayner had sufficient damage to his car, hence why he lost so much time. And Alex Spano is only 3 seconds off him, and Martin Kravek is not really closing in on him. So it looks like that particular battle is done and dusted. Remaining. Well, Vermeulen's coming round, and this is going to be his 52nd lap completed. He has got 3 laps to go in this race now. Looking very, very good for the victory. He's coming up behind Matteo Pessina, who's running in P7. He's about to be lapped. So Vermeulen, even with his pit stop, has lapped the entire field up to 7th. Very impressive in an 80-minute race. And ahead of Pessina is the 2 apprentices of Jack, who's dropped back now from Luke. We have a spin on the exit of the old hairpin. It looks like Jay Wazzer's gone round. 11th in class is Wazzer. He's falling behind Brown. He's still ahead of George overall. They've lost a lot of time thanks to that spin. He's out on his way though. continuing to make his way through the back markers. Doesn't need to rush this by any means. Farquhar Whistles right behind Morgan Grace in the battle for 9th as well. That really is beginning to pick up, isn't it? His penultimate lap. We're on lap 54. He's put a lap on Bassina. Now he's about to put a lap again on the 720 of Dario Danko. Lapping Danko, entering the last corner of Goddard's. He will be starting his last lap. Jarrod Vermeulen from South Africa. What a race, what a dominant drive from pole position. Through the Craner curves. Got some back markers ahead of him, but he won't need to worry about them. There we are. He's bunching each other up by the looks of it. Now we're looking at the windscreen of Jarrod Vermeulen, who's there on his windscreen. Right in the curves again. Pole position, fast lap race win. Perfect evening for him. Wide in the curves again. He's about to put a lap here on the number 26 of Hill Hasgo. He's got Franciossi ahead. He's got the checker flag to look forward to now. Jarrod Vermeulen from South Africa crosses over the line to win for Pro at Donington Park in Taco Tuesday. A phenomenal drive. What a way to return to the series after missing the entirety of the season before tonight. Alberto Aragoneses a long way behind after his drive-through penalty. It's going to extend the gap between him and Carl Sween. The gap will be 11 points. I'm just waiting for Aragoneses to cross over the line. But whilst I say that, Gordon Brown has won out in the end in the silver class, with Ryan George and Daniel Aus in second and third. Aragoneses finishes second in Pro, nearly 45 seconds behind. And Carl Sween has lost even further ground in the title battle with only 2 races left now. He's got with it all to do. Third place it is for him, but at least he gets a podium out of this. Adam Sharp, some way back in 4th place, being wheeled in by the Prentices, but they'll be 4th, 5th and 6th on the lead lap. The only other drivers, only the top 6 finishing on the lead lap. And that tells you how dominant Jarrod Vermeulen has been today. But there is your race winner, Jarrod Vermeulen, in the 114 Ferrari at Donington Park in Taco Tuesday for the Pro category. Also congratulations to Gordon Brown, who wins for the first time this season in silver. So a rundown on the race order. Sheriff Vermeulen wins with Alberto Aragonés in second place, and it's Carl Sween and Adam Sharp in fourth. Luke Prentice from the pit lane to fifth, one of the drivers of the day other than Sheriff Vermeulen. Jack Prentice safe for the Matteo Pacino, Jeffrey Godefroy, Morgan Grace, Fargler Pavissel running out the top 10 in Pro. We've got Jay Wazza 11th, followed by Chris Faster, and then it's David Wagner and Simon Straczynski. Lewin 15th ahead of Mark Bird, who was the last of the Pro drivers to finish. Andy Craven didn't finish, neither did Matthias Simon, and neither did Angelique Huguenot. So 3 drivers from Pro did not finish the race today. In silver, Gordon Brown winning out in the end over Ryan George. Then it's Daniel Alce in third, Keith Massar in fourth, with Andrew Tulloch in fifth place. Then it's Matteo Pacina, Mercedes De Angelis, in sixth, Kel Hasko seventh. Then it's Dario Danko eighth, Cameron Blair ninth, and it's Chris Gedman. A reasonable effort for him in 10th. Will Rayner, from being in second for so long, having to pit in towards the end of the race for new tyres, he drops to 11th place ahead of Alex Spanu. Martin Krivek, Wojtek Bujda in 14th place, with Stefano Franciosi in 15th. Jack King, Kyle Revel and San Domenico did not finish the race. Andrea San Domenico did not finish. In the championship then, on to Pro. As I've already mentioned, Alberto Aragonés has an 11-point lead over Carl Sween with 2 races to go. He is firm favourite to win it, but one mistake could open the door for Carl Sween to capitalise. In the silver category, with that victory, Gordon Brown moves into the lead now, I believe, because Daniel Alce... Daniel Alce is actually still leading in that, I should say. Gordon Brown ended up finishing the race as the race winner, so the gap is 2 points. I don't know who's got the fastest lap in what, but we'll find out. You can find that out on the SimGrid Racing website in the Formula Racing League on Taco Tuesday Season 13. It's time to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching us. Do make sure you like and subscribe. Next week we race at the Nürburgring for the penultimate round. We hope for you to tune in for then. Do check out all the championships that the Formula Racing League have to offer by looking at the YouTube description below. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll do it over again in 7 days' time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.